And I have to concur with the views of a progressive attorney that I've known for several years, Jonathan Turley with the George Washington University Law Center. He agrees with the rest of us that Eric Holder should resign. Listen.
What Eric Holder did is he crossed a line, a very important one. He endangered a free press. If Eric Holder were a rational actor, he would resign. He's damaged goods. I'm not too sure why he'd want to keep limping along. But if he refuses to go, he needs to be fired.
I agree. Eric Holder should be fired if he refuses to go. I mean, this is not good for the Obama administration to have Eric Holder sticking around after he so clearly misled Congress about the way that the Justice Department was treating reporters. And Eric Holder can play verbal gymnastics all he wants. That's not what the American people expect. Daniel Marins, your views.
Yeah, I mean, David, there's no question about it. That kind of narrow interpretation of the word involved in any kind of a prosecution, hanging his hat on the fact that charges weren't actually technically filed, but that despite that, he designated this person as worthy of probable cause for a warrant to seize his private communications. I mean, it's an absurd explanation. And, you know, David, it is an example of the Obama administration sadly trampling on the freedoms of the press in the name of protecting their own flank and in the name of protecting their own political image. I have to say, though, I think that a lot of us are shocked it didn't happen earlier, because at the end of the day, while Eric Holder may not have conducted anything criminal or anything this severe in the past, he's been an attorney general with widely varying and some would say unfortunate focuses in terms of what he does pursue. Keep in mind, this is the person that has led a Department of Justice that has not brought any single Wall Street banker or figure from a Wall Street firm to trial in a case related to the 2008 financial crisis. It's the same Department of Justice that was facing Aaron Swartz, the young computer hacker with decades in prison at a minimum for downloading too much from JSTOR. And it's the same Department of Justice that now has pursued leaks within the federal government at more than 3 times the rate of any previous administration. And that has now resulted in this kind of behavior of actually going after the journalists themselves. And it's reprehensible, and I think it just goes to show the unfortunate double standard that someone like Eric Holder, who frankly comes from Covington and Burley, sort of a classic K Street lobbyist type law firm in Washington, D.C., what his priorities are and who he's willing to go after and who he's not willing to go after. And that culture and that type of priorities probably won't leave with Eric Holder. And so it's a question that we need to raise. Those of us who do consider ourselves Democratic constituents, voters for the president, that it's a priority for us that we have voices within the administration cabinet that share the priorities of the American people and the people that voted this president to office.
And look, I get all of the tweets and all the messages I've gotten from people who say, well, wait a second, Eric Holder has tried to make sure that Americans have a right to vote. He's done a lot of good things. He's helped progressives in terms of some policies. And I agree with that, but it doesn't matter. All of that becomes cheapened if the guy at the top has lost credibility and cannot be trusted. And I believe that whoever replaces Eric Holder is going to be just as aggressive about making sure that Americans have the right to vote and some of the other issues that progressives are concerned about. What I'm concerned about is making sure that our chief law enforcement officer, the attorney general, has not perjured himself in front of Congress. And I think there's a reasonable question on that issue as far as Eric Holder and the House Judiciary Committee. Coming up, we'll talk with Charlie Mitchell about the latest in Congress as far as immigration reform. You're listening and watching to Take Action News.